Hello and welcome once again to Total Pebble Knockdown, knocking down pebbles since 2021.
I thought you were just trying to do this with your face. I was like, what are you doing?
No, I'm just...
2001?
Yeah, it's 20 years we've been doing this.
20 years of the podcast business.
20 years of podcasting. It's all good. Everybody's happy.
We've been doing this for 20 years.
Yeah.
We were podcasting before podcasting was a thing.
Yeah, that's right. Look at us now. Surpassed by every other outlet.
Wow, it's taken 20 years to get 7 episodes.
Yeah, we should just say Total Pebble Knockdown established like 1542. Like
yeah, 1542.
Yeah.
We're gonna get new branding. Total Pebble Knockdown 1542.
1542. We're just well, I come from generations of podcasters. My grandpappy was a podcaster. From way back in the day. I come from a long line of podcasters.
Back in the day,
yeah,
it was still on a boat.
It was still on a boat. Yeah, you know what they called them back then, though, Alex? Podcrafters.
Podcrafters.
Podcrafters, yep.
If we start a business with making podcasts, we're going to be the Podcrafters.
Podcrafters, yeah. Small batch podcasting.
Small bass podcasting.
There you Perfect. Excellent. Small bass podcasting. Terrific.
Is a group of bass a pod, or is that just dolphins? It's probably a school of fish, not a pod of fish.
A dolphin cast. We're just
dolphin cast.
Dolphin cast. Yeah.
That's illegal.
On this episode that we hand podcrafted for you.
That's been in the works for 20 years.
Oh no, at least 300. I think we've established at this point. We had done a test episode before we actually did the show. Some of the topics that we were discussing on there, we always said we wanted to get back to and do as a regular episode. So we are taking the 3 that are still applicable, and we are going to do an episode out of those because we have some more to add to them anyway. So that's fun. That's fun, I guess. Isn't it?
Yeah, it'll be fun. Let's get into it.
Okay. So, first thing, we have a soapbox for you. Today on a soapbox that I'm getting up on is about Dark Souls. I think most people are probably aware at this point how I feel about Dark Souls. And
plus, you're new to the show since this is our 7th episode in 20 years.
Right. So, for everybody that has not seen one of our 7 episodes in the last 350 years, you may be unaware that my attempts at playing the From Software catalog of games have not gone very well. And from Demon Souls to Dark Souls, I have not been able to tolerate them, and it is usually controller throwing frustration for me.
Have you actually thrown your controller?
I definitely slammed it down on my couch, so it didn't break it. But it was,
there you go.
But you have seen me kind of go like this occasionally with that. I knew that I was in trouble when I originally played Demon Souls, and they had that Phases of the Moon thing where it would make enemies harder every time you went back in to after you died and came back. I did not make it very far through there. The hitboxes are huge.
Here's a question about the Phases of the Moon thing. Was it only so many and then it would reset back to the beginning?
Probably. I didn't get there fast enough. I don't think so. That would have been amazing because you could have gamed that system where you keep dying until it goes. Yeah,
and then you're like, well, fuck. So let's die again, die again, die again, die again, make it easier, and then go through there, and then oh crap, die again, die again, die again, die again.
Die
Of
again.
course, then you just have no progression for your souls.
No, you don't. You don't. And that was the other problem too, is that there was no real easily understood way that I could just upgrade my character in the middle of this. I'm sure you can. I know that there are ways, but they weren't presented very early on. So when I got to Dark Souls Remastered and I could finally play that, I did that, and it didn't have some of those annoying things like the phases.
No, it did not.
No, but it had other annoying things, like the enemies that just jump out at you randomly, and and still had the tank controls, and still had the dying constantly, and the annoying messages like say, "Hey, try jumping, off this cliff." Yeah, thanks, random dude. You helped out a lot.
Trolls.
Trolls.
Love trolls.
Trolls leaving messages that just make you jump off cliffs. Because I thought maybe there was an invisible bridge there. There is not. There's never an invisible bridge. Don't assume that From Software is ever giving you anything they're taking all the time. So I had kind of written off the idea of Dark Souls in the Souls-like genre until other people started taking that formula and doing something different with it. And so I think I've come to the conclusion that I don't necessarily like the Dark Souls. I don't. But that doesn't mean that I don't like Souls-like games.
Yeah, you just don't like From Software.
I think maybe I just don't like... I'm the one person who wants to destroy Elden Ring with fire. I'm that person.
Yeah.
No, kill it with fire. I'm sure it'll be fine. Maybe I'll try it. I don't know. But
and then you'll throw your controller.
Then I'll throw my controller, and no one will be happy. But some of the Souls-like games that I've played, I thought took the basic idea of that whole intermingled world where you would, unlock shortcuts to get from different areas. The idea that dying leaves your currency essentially on the ground. You have to go back to, reclaim it.
You gotta remember, corpse running has been a thing since, Diablo.
That's true. But see, the thing is, in corpse running, I guess the thing about it is, though, that you still kept some of your money with Diablo.
Yeah, but you didn't keep your gear.
No, you didn't keep your
Diablo.
gear. No.
You ran back naked.
Yeah, you did run back naked, so that was fun. However, I think the difference that really happened with the Souls-like genre is that the stuff that you leave on the ground is the only way you upgrade your character. So, in Diablo, you level up. In Souls-like games, you really don't like that.
I mean, you still level up. You still get experience, you gain levels, you gain stats.
Right. But you have to invest your souls in order to do it.
You should be doing that.
Right, no, you should. But in Diablo, you would just gain experience, and then you would ding, and you would gain the stuff. In a Souls-like games, any of the upgrades that you do are because of that Souls currency, tech currency, whatever you're using, that you then have to take to either your, bonfire or your chamber or whatever. You have to use it there. It respawns all the enemies when you do that.
It does.
Yeah. All the enemies respawn, the world resets, but you can utilize it right there and then to do some upgrades to your individual stats, levels, etc. So those mechanics are a little bit different. And then, of course, that you have to think about combat more tactfully. It's not just... chances are you're not going to be able to just hack and slash your way through it. Diablo you could, which is why I like Diablo.
Diablo's a point and click.
Diablo...
It's
yeah.
Not... Dark Souls?
Yeah.
Not a hack and slash.
No. Diablo's a hack and slasher, and that's why we love it. But Dark Souls is definitely not, and I found that a lot of times with blocking and with dodging and stuff, it didn't necessarily even work. And there were a lot of bosses where they were like, here's a boss. Hey, here's 3 other bosses that are just going to come and help out that main boss when you get down. Making it very, very difficult. However, when they started to do stuff outside of Dark Souls, I started to realize that the idea was good, but I needed it to be something different. I needed it to either be more accessible, be faster, get out of kind of the tank controls that they had, change the style, change the layout, and so they had several of them that did a pretty good job in that vein. I thought I'd mention a few of them.
Yeah, the thing with Dark Souls is I really want to love Dark Souls.
Oh, yeah.
They've done so much world crafting in it, and so much lore that is derived from like just the items you get.
Sure.
That you have to piece together yourself, and that to me is really fascinating.
Yeah.
But we're in agreement here that the formula they use for the gameplay is not really something I'm into.
Right.
But like I believe game theorists have done a couple videos on the lore of Dark Souls, for instance.
Oh yeah.
And there's a bunch of people who've done deep dives into the lore of Dark Souls.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really good.
Oh yeah.
And the storytelling, even though you have to piece it together yourself, it's fascinating. The story is really cool.
Oh yeah. And
but like I want to love it for that reason.
yeah. And a part of me still wants to try Bloodborne, because I know that was also like one of the highlights of that particular genre, and that was again part of that whole storytelling aspect and the way they present it and the ways you can interpret that. No, I like the concept. The problem is that the gameplay and the way they do the gameplay loops becomes almost inhibiting for people to play.
I know GMTK, Game Maker's Toolkit, has also done something about should like Dark Souls games have difficulties. Like, is that a thing you should do? Several people have done it, and that's not a discussion we necessarily need to get into right now, because far more intelligent people than us who do video essays have done great video essays on this, and we're not really in the habit of video essays. We are conversational, which is fine. I don't know how to write a script for the life of me.
Nope. and a lot of people that are even in our Discord have occasionally talked about the fact that there are actually some ways that you could do that if you have. Depending on what build you use, it's usually a little bit easier if you know some of the tactics to do certain bosses.
Yeah.
And if you're doing it in multiplayer, if you have co-op. Obviously, I get that. I understand that. It's just, I don't know. The way that it's presented and how you're supposed to interact with the world and kind of like having no real roadmap to go through it starts to feel a little bit too dense. And a little too complex for the average person. I did enjoy killing my boar at that one point and getting the boar helmet that I could have, but then you go into this cathedral and there's like 3 knights there, and one of them like sneaks up from the back and smacks you in the back and you're dead. But I mean, and so there's all of these things where it's like, oh yeah, this is real nice. But like in Dark Souls, for instance, there's the main hub that you eventually get to, and there's 2 different directions you could take. And you think to yourself, oh, maybe I'll go down this route, only to realize that, oh no, they don't actually ever wanted you, they never wanted you to go down to the graveyard path. The graveyard path kills you instantaneously. It's like, okay, well, thanks for not mentioning anything about that. So
it's a learning experience.
It is a learning experience. The learning curve is pretty high.
Pretty curved.
Pretty curved. I also was not... I felt like the combat controls reminded me a little bit of the worst parts of like Witcher 3. Just the tanky kind of controls. I wanted something that felt more fluid too when I was actually in combat.
Agreed.
Yeah. So then you get to more Souls-like games, and some of them actually fix these problems, which I'm happy about.
Yes.
One of the more recent ones that I played was Code Vein. You might remember that one, but it was kind of, people would refer to it as anime Dark Souls. And, a little bit. A little bit, anime Dark Souls. But some really nice stuff that they were able to put in there. One, much faster, more fluid combat. I appreciated that. The level design, nice and open for the most parts. Just a lot of little pathways to go down. Enemies are a little bit easier to kind of understand, attack patterns and things like that. They're a little slower on the draw. You can choose a lot of weapons right up at the front. You can respec your character to different classes at any time, which is really nice. Fast travel. You can fast travel from the different missiles, even to an attack, a central hub where you have stores and characters that you can interact with.
Right.
Very handy. Stuff that I do appreciate. And
See,
I like.
I don't even. Here's the thing with that one. Fast travel is okay with me. I don't mind if there's fast travel. I don't mind if there's not fast travel. But what I do appreciate is when there is either a mini map or a map that I can look at and readily available know where the hell I am.
Yes.
And one thing with these Souls games and Souls-like games is that there is oftentimes not a map.
Yeah. And one of the other problems that I usually have is I don't mind if you don't have a fast travel system if it is relatively easy to get around that map. If, I don't necessarily even need to have the map itself, but if I can't easily traverse those levels and I have to do a ton of backtracking all the time to get from one point to another, you're going to have to give me some kind of a fast travel or a transit system or something to get there, because then all I'm doing is just backtracking through your game constantly. And I did see that problem a lot with Dark Souls. They will occasionally give you ladders that you can throw down and stuff to traverse.
I remember there's one point there's a bonfire and then you can get a ladder down to it again from higher up, and I'm like, oh, that's handy.
It is.
Now that I know that's there, I can either go up this way to get there, or I can go back around if I want to maybe grind some more XP.
Right, and they do add those in so that it's a little less, backtracky, and it makes you feel like you have a little bit better progress, but they're not really, as you get further and further into the game and start to realize that there are areas you have to backtrack to, that's where things get a little bit egregious in terms of what I'm doing back and forth. So I appreciated that.
Right. Now, I know there was one game you did want to mention that took the Souls-like formula. I believe that you enjoyed more. In the Surge 2.
Yes. Yeah, in Surge 2. I heard you had recently played a little bit of it.
I picked it up. It was either free or on sale. Don't remember which. Probably
right.
It was probably on sale because I think it's on Steam. And you had mentioned it, so I wanted to try it. And I think I put like 8 hours into it. And I liked some of the combat systems. I liked how the game functioned overall.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things I hated was the fact there was no map.
Yeah, there's an aversion to maps in the Dark Souls-like.
It's not so much that I needed a map because I just wanted a map. It was more so I didn't know where I was going a lot of the time. And traversal is, for me, with a short-term memory, where I'm not going to remember something, I don't know where I'm going, don't know where I am.
Yeah.
Give me a map to look at that is useful, even if it's not a mini map.
Yeah.
A map that's overall here's where you've been, where your location. Even if I'm mapping it myself, that is super handy because I don't know where the hell I'm going.
Exactly. Yeah. I worry about these things. But the map was very limited, trying to traverse everything, and especially when you get onto the streets of Surge 2.
Yeah.
And you start to realize that there are some pretty hard blockades where you have to level up pretty far in order to get to the new locations, because they are not playing around. But I played the Surge 1 a little bit. I can tell you the Surge 2 did a much better job and improved upon a lot of systems. I like the idea of being able to target certain parts, and if you cut them off, you actually get new parts. New armor and stuff. That
was cool. I liked being able to upgrade the armor and to craft stuff like that. I didn't like at the beginning when it was target this person's head. I'm like, how? give me a better description in this
Yeah.
tutorial, because I didn't know how to for like probably a good 15 times of trying to kill that guy.
Yeah. And they don't really put it in at the very beginning when you have, like, the drones. Because, like, the drones don't really have parts that you... there's, like, little flying drones that come at you at the very beginning of the game when you have no, like, rig or anything.
Yeah.
But I also like some of the Metroidvania kind of elements where there were certain... devices that you would get from bosses as you go through that would unlock different areas, even in starting areas. That was cool. I really appreciated that because it made you want to go back to previous areas. I liked having the little drone that you could, change out with some different ones. I did not like when I got to the garden. That's kind of where I stopped playing because there are these giant mechs that just kind of rise out of statues, and their hitbox is the entire field. So trying to dodge out of the way and hit them was absolutely... I could not kill them, and it was almost impossible to avoid them. But I liked some of the systems that they did. I liked the bonuses to different armor sets that you could get, and a lot of the personality that it had for the customization you could do.
Yeah, I agree. I did like that a bit more than the combat, especially in like Dark Souls.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah. It was a little bit more fluid, and even though it was not particularly fast, I think the fact that they did kind of slow it down for the most part also got me used to the complexity of that combat.
Right.
The Code Vein style is much faster, but it's a lot less precise. You don't have to figure out exactly like when enemies are blocking and stuff like that. It's not that complicated. You're just trying to get in hits before they hit you and all of that.
That's more of like a DMC type combat, I want to say then.
It is. It actually did remind me of DMC also because as you keep attacking, if you don't save and you just keep attacking, you get like multipliers for the essence that you get as you keep going forward. So
yeah,
it did have a little bit more of that DMC flavor.
Did you here's another Souls like genre, or at least similar-esque.
Sure.
Takes a bunch of points from the Souls genre and uses those, but Souls Light maybe. Did you play Nioh or Nioh 2?
I did not. You played a little bit of Nioh, if I remember.
I did, and I like it also because it's mission-based.
That is nice.
So instead of just having the one big open world, it's like you go into a mission, which
cool.
has got this smaller scale but still open world map.
Okay.
That's you do this one mission,
and
at the end you get back to like wherever you are, the town, the inn. I think you've got the map where you can do different things and go on different missions or take different challenges. And I like that system as well because it makes it so you can dedicate, say, all right, well, I want to play a mission.
Sure.
And you can play a mission, and you can do your upgrades or whatever you want to do. And then either you can save during that, or you can be like, all right, well, I'm done doing this mission. Maybe I'll pause playing for a different time.
Sure.
So even though it wasn't as grand open world in each specific mission as, say, a Dark Souls or a Surge 2, it was still open world in that map where you can go anywhere you want in it and find the different ways to traverse them in different areas in them, but it wasn't just a giant thing.
Right.
So I like that. The mission-based type combat and the mission-based for maps, I think is really fun because it lets you do those as smaller segments. That was also very fun. I think it was, again, more fluid than, say, Dark Souls, where it was a faster pace, but it wasn't so fast that you couldn't pay attention. You still had to pay attention. And it also gave you the different weapon types you could use. You could have different stances from high to mid to low based on if you want to be based more on offense, defense, or agility.
Oh, okay. That's
so you could mix. Yeah, so you could mix those up. So you'd be like, all right, I want to go all attack, do a high stance, and each attack stance would have different attack patterns for the weapons.
Oh,
so that was interesting.
Okay, that kind of reminds me a little bit of like when Yakuza had different fighting styles that you could go into.
Probably. Didn't
Probably.
play Yakuza, so I can't say for sure, but
Right.
it would make sense.
Yeah, there's a couple of the games have a system where, not all of them, but that you have like a signature dragon style that you learn moves from throughout the game, but then there's also a beast, a brawler, and a rush mode. So rush is like really fast, about like really quick hits. Your brawler is like your all-rounder kind of thing, and then your beast mode is really where you're just supposed to be doing like heavy ham-fisted attacks, and you can pick up like you can pick up the motorcycle and smash it at people and stuff like that when you're in beast mode.
Yeah, in Nioh it was you can learn different skills that can only be used for certain weapons, for instance.
Sure.
In certain stances.
Oh.
So I could pick up a skill that I could use in like the low stance only for this weapon.
Sure.
Or that could be used in the high stance only for the weapons. So you've got a couple different things you can do from that.
Oh.
And then you can swap stances pretty on the fly. For me, I would take the dual, I think Wakizashis.
Sure.
Because you're playing a samurai named William.
Fun.
Yeah, it's just a white guy samurai. It's all good.
Okay.
But I think I would take the 2 short swords and do like a lower mid stance for either agility or dodging.
Sure.
Instead of like high attack, but then you could swap to the high attack as well if you wanted to, and do some really offensive stuff. But it would make it so I could kind of evade attacks a bit easier and a bit more fluidly. So that was fun.
Yeah, certainly.
Even then, the game was still could be punishing as well.
Yeah, I heard that. It could be. Is it faster than like a Dark Souls? It always seemed like it was much faster.
For the combat?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Because even when you're facing down like the Oni, the demons that you are against, because they're demons, because samurai.
Sure.
Even when you're facing them down, it's still punishing, but not like you can learn the attack patterns and how to do that like you would in any Souls-like game.
Sure.
It's learning the attack patterns and getting used to it and figuring out how to best deal with that.
Sure.
But it wasn't so cantankerously slow that you just felt like you were being punished for being punished.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I mean, again, it feels like there's versions of Dark Souls that work better for me than the actual Dark Souls did.
Yeah.
In similar fashion, one of the ones that I played that I do actually recommend people try if they haven't, which was Jedi Fallen Order, which was the Star Wars basically version that surprisingly EA put out, but Respawn...
Wasn't that the newer one?
Yep.
Okay.
That was just a year or so ago.
Okay.
Last couple years. Done by Respawn. They're pretty good. Now they're owned, I guess, by EA. But
who isn't?
Yeah, who isn't? Yeah, exactly. We welcome our corporate overlords. But Respawn did this. They were kind of famous for Titanfall. But they did this game, and they kind of took the Dark Souls formula, and they said, yes, but Jedi. And that's kind of what they did. What I appreciated about that was that you get the lightsaber combat involved in it. You get the force powers that you can utilize in the field. That works out pretty well. Combat's pretty fluid. It is not easy. There's quite a bit of combat that's a little bit trickier. They do, though, offer like a story mode as well, because they figured that, maybe the combat's not going to appeal to everyone if they don't like it Souls-like. So they created a story mode, and when you play it that way, it actually plays a lot more like Jedi Knight. For the most part, it actually plays that way. And it's like, oh, that's good, because I did enjoy those games. And the other thing that it does really well is that it subdivides the landscape a little bit by going to different planets.
Oh, yeah.
So instead of that one gigantic map that you might be going to in a lot of Souls games that you have to keep backtracking to, they put those into like a little bit more piecemeal places, like little areas in each planet. And so most of those planets are not particularly large in their scope. Sometimes I still did get lost, unfortunately, but it made it a little bit easier when I wanted to go back and like try and get collectibles and stuff like that. I know that I can just go to specifically a planet and go and look for that. So that was helpful as well. And then like you get the Darth Vader moment at the end of it, because of course he's going to show up.
Of course he is.
Anytime they can use him, go for it. So some good character development, in those, and it has, the same great score and everything. You get the Star Warsiness of the whole thing. But the best part, the absolute best part that I loved, that if more Souls-like games could do this, there is no falling damage.
Nice.
If you fall off the edge of the world, it just puts you back up.
Yeah.
You take no damage, just boop. Because it's Star Wars, of course there's no falling damage.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That was the one big thing. I was like, oh wow, I just fall off the world and you're just going to reset me back on the... Cool. Great. I'll take it.
Yeah.
Every single time. They also included something a little bit similar to like a nemesis system where there's like bounty hunters that are after you.
Yeah.
And you don't want to get killed by them, but...
No,
it would be bad. So, some neat things there. So I've determined that, like, once upon a time, I would have written off a Souls-like game as basically, I don't want to play this ever. And when they would say, like, this is like a Dark Souls, I'd be like, well, this is like a game I'm never playing. But after trying, to kind of like just work my way through those feelings,
yeah.
I've realized that there's value in the formula. There's value in the way the game is structured, just maybe not in the game that originated it.
Right. Yeah, no, I can see that. There's definitely games that will be like, oh, Souls-like. They're like, well, I'll try it. Mm-hmm. I may not love it. I might love it more than I like Dark Souls, but I may not finish it.
Exactly.
And that's okay.
Yeah. I think to this day I've only actually finished one that was in the Souls-like genre, and it was Fallen Order. And to be honest with you, I did have to throw it into story mode after very little time in it.
Yeah.
Because it was the combat. The combat is rich and complex and everything, but honestly, I just wanted to feel like a badass Jedi.
Yeah, sometimes you just want to have that power fantasy of having a lightsaber.
Yeah, it's like I started to realize the most unrealistic thing about it was the idea that my Jedi with a lightsaber keeps getting killed by this giant toad. This toad keeps killing the Jedi. This does not make any logical sense. Okay, you know what? We're just gonna have to do this in story mode, because this does not feel accurate to the setting at all. We gotta nip this in the bud. I think the one problem, though, is that when you do go to story mode, it does almost make it too easy, because I don't think I really died at all.
Yeah, that's where you get into that discussion about difficulty modes, if they should be a thing or not.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I love games that let you have that slider of difficulty where it's like, well, how challenging do you want it? It's like, well, I don't want to die all the time, but I also don't want to be like, oh, you can't do any challenges because you're a baby.
Right. My default is I want to play the game on the difficulty that the creators said is the default difficulty.
Well, like, for games like Dark Souls, that is punishing beyond belief.
It is. But like what I've seen more and more as games, as we keep going, is I see a lot of games that will put in something. This is the way the developers intended it to be played. They'll like put that in the difficulty, and it's like, then that's what I want to go with to start before I do anything else. Because if you're saying that this is the mode that's supposed to be the ideal experience that you've been trying to craft, I'm going to go with that. This is what you want to bring to the table. This is what you want me to experience. I'm going to go with that to start. Nothing harder, nothing easier. This is the way you want me to experience the game. I'm going to start there. Right. But yeah, with Dark Souls, or with like a Ninja Gaiden, which I did finish.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, but it was not easy. Yeah, there's really only one mode, and the one mode is screw you. Pretty much. Today on Delving Deeper, we are going to be discussing the difference between creating TTRPG experiences for introverts versus extroverts. And the reason why I originally wanted to do this, Alex, I don't think I had mentioned it to you, but since we have kind of a team-building exercise when it comes to tabletop gaming, of, people sitting around and trying to craft a story, a lot of players that have maybe different personalities and different comfort levels when it comes to performing in a lot of ways and their personal ability to, interact with others. If you're a GM and you're trying to include everyone in that conversation, it can be a little bit tricky, I think, to try and, make sure that you're tailoring that quest to everybody that's involved. I don't know your experiences of who you've played with before, but I'm guessing that not everybody was equally inclined to do the role-playing experience in the same way.
Yeah, no, I feel like unless you are playing with like a group of professional role players, people that are like the Critical Role type team, where it's like, hey, we're kind of like voice actors and famous-ish people who are doing this because we auditioned and screened for it. I feel unless you're doing something like that, everyone's going to be slightly different on their level of involvement, whether they're okay with doing crazy voices for their characters, or if they just want to kind of speak as themselves. And I feel like it's okay to do have differences for your players and the GM yourself, whether you want to do those voices, act as a character, just kind of like, all right, well, I want to do this, or even if you want to be like, my character is going to do this, I don't see any problem with that.
Yeah.
But there's definitely a difference in how people play their characters in their RPGs.
Yeah. Especially if you're into acting. Before I get a bunch of really nasty comments in the thing, we're aware that Critical Role was not an audition process.
I'm not aware of that.
Okay, sorry. Alex was not aware of that. You don't know how Critical Role started?
I don't want to.
Okay, fine. Anyway.
No, there are other role
There are others,
like,
yes.
podcasts and whatnot, and it's like, yes, audition for this part.
Yes. Well, yes, one that I happen to be the GM of, that is what happened for the cast and crew, and even me. We auditioned for that. So that does happen a lot more with RPGs. Sometimes it's just some outgrowth of home game, which is the story behind Critical Role. But the thing about it is, though, that they were all friends, and they kind of knew each other in many ways because they were voice actors. They worked in that same community. Chances are, the people that you're going to be talking to and a lot of people that you game with are not necessarily that, and might not really even want to, like, be out there with their characters, do character voices, anything like that. The thing that I find to be the balance here is when you're GMing. We'll start with the GM perspective here because it is critical. It's a critical role you have to play. Anyway, it is a critical part that you have to play, and trying to figure out how you keep people who are kind of introverted by their very nature, don't really want to be in the spotlight, make sure that they are part of that adventure, part of that quest, that their characters are still doing something, and that they have time to shine, even if they're not necessarily volunteering that. And people who are very extroverted and are Timmy wants to get up on the table and do a song, those sort of folks can maybe just hold off for a minute and let some other people, be involved in the process too. I know that they're like a lot of times when I'm playing, at least, I will not really talk unless I'm specifically my character is specifically in the frame. Like, if everybody else is doing something, I usually don't say anything at all. I'll usually be very much in the distance until I realize, oh, my character has to do something. And then it's like, great, I'm in spotlight now, so now we're going full on, and this is the time where my character has to contribute something. If you're new to gaming, though, you probably don't know these things, and how that interaction works, and how that group, storytelling experience works. So, if you're the GM, you have a lot of fresh-faced new players. Some of them are like, I want to go storm the castle, and I'm going to be drinking beer the whole time, and I'm going to ride a dragon into the castle. And you have some people that are in the back kind of like going, okay, what do my stat sheets do? What am I supposed to do? I have strength, I have dexterity. Can I sit in the corner? Can I sit in the corner and wait for something to happen? How do you bring an experience out to kind of like include people who are introverted? Let's start there.
Oh, are you asking me how I do that?
Yeah.
Or are you
I'm pausing for dramatic effect.
Pausing for dramatic effect.
I'm pausing for dramatic effect.
Well, I think part of that too comes from your, session 0 if you have one, where it's what people expect and what you expect of your players.
Sure.
That'll help too. So it's like if you want to ride a dragon into the castle, that's fine. You're probably not going to do that right away. That's fine, but we can set those expectations. And one of those things that you can do is get people on the same page.
Gotcha.
So you get your players who want to be out there and going crazy, and the players who are kind of maybe a little bit more shy or just a bit more quiet to be more involved. You find things that they as players and as characters want to do and want to experience in game.
Right. The other thing that I would just be aware of is when you kind of like talk to your players during that session 0, or even before, when you're kind of saying, hey, I want to get a thing together, is to take stock of the kind of characters that they want to play, what their personalities are, and ask them questions too about their characters, about what to flesh that out a little bit. I think some more introverted players will probably just be like, I think this is my name and this is my character sheet, and won't necessarily know that they can flesh that out, or realize that there might be an expectation to flesh out your character a little bit more and talk about it more.
And of course, we don't necessarily mean flesh out your character with a 20-page backstory.
No, but a little bit more than here's my name and here's my character sheet.
I think D&D 5e has a good example of this, where it's got the flaws, bonds, ideals, and whatnot for your character. Those help really kind of flesh out some of the just basic ideas of what your character is and who they are.
Yeah.
And things they've got going on, or people they might know, for instance. And a lot of games do a better job than they used to with that stuff, where it's, all right, well, give us a little bit more information about you and decide on this stuff. And even when I played with like David, it was, all right, well, give me a little bit of like your background. We can flesh out a little bit of that so we have something to pull from.
Right. The background system that they have in 5e is really good for that too, because it's one mechanically inclined. You actually do get some mechanics and benefits depending on the background that you pick, but it also does inform your character. So kind of a little bit about where you came from, so you have a history there. And those are really nice. Helps just kind of customize your character a little bit more than you normally would. And I think encouraging those things and really having your players engage with those systems, especially if they're, new and maybe a little shy, that will help out a little bit to try and bring them up to speed. But also, once you actually get into those sessions, is being aware of who's doing a lot of things and who's really in the background. And if they're in the background a lot, maybe asking them what their character is doing in those moments where you have a pause. You've had your characters that are right out there that wanted to ride that dragon into the castle, burn everything to the ground. They've had their moments where their characters did something, but before they go on and they're like, now we're storming the castle. Whoa, okay. What about if we check in with a couple of your other teammates here, because they I don't know what they're doing right now, and we want to make sure that I know what they're doing. Yeah. And because it's so easy for for you to have characters that basically just get towed along with rabid back scratcher, and the orc dwarf that wants to storm all the castles and burn, and that it's basically that guy and the rest of the party. And it's real easy to keep to make it so that everybody else falls to the background when that one character kind of hogs spotlight.
Well, I think one of the other things you can do there as well, even if one player, say, or a couple of the players take the forefront on charging that castle, as we're using this example, apparently, liberally, if they want to burn down the castle, it's fine, but maybe there's somebody in the castle that knows that party member who is not talking a lot, that either they need to interact with or is begging for them to save them, or maybe it's an enemy, something from that character's backgrounds, perhaps. That gives that character a reason to interact with the events going on.
Okay, yep. No, that's a good point. That's a good point to make. Yeah, and it's not necessarily that you couldn't have a character that just doesn't say very much, but I do want to check in with them and see what they are doing, and if they... Because they might have something to contribute, but they just didn't want to say anything. And I want to make sure that they're, included in these things before we move on to the next whatever. One of the things I do, and this is terrible advice from a role-playing standpoint or narrative, but sometimes you might have moments where you break up the party. You always know how fun that is.
Split the party time.
Yeah, it's split the party time. But there is a case that you could make. I had one of these things that happened in a town, and I basically had told my folks, like, well, before we go to the adventure, really, you have a little bit of time in this town, and everyone's kind of free to go and do their own thing. You can go as groups if you want, but you can go off into your own corners, and I'll tell you some of the stuff that's there. And what that allowed was for each one of the characters to kind of go off on their own a little bit and have interactions with some of the characters that were in town and pick up some story threads on their own accord. And I liked that only because it gave them a moment where they know that it's just about them interacting with the world, and kind of helps me get a little bit more information about what they have, and maybe even start some story threads there, which I never really got to complete, but the point is I was trying, but to make sure that was the case. Now, in my particular case, I didn't have any real introverts in my crew, because we had actors, comedians, and filmmakers and artists, so it really wasn't a problem there. But if I did have people that were a little bit unsure of what they wanted to do with their character, that just gives them one moment where they don't have to think other people are going to be talking over them at all, because they're on their own. Now, as a tactical thing, it's a terrible idea. You don't want to split the party as a tactical move. Everybody knows that. But from a storytelling standpoint, sometimes it's very good for the individual character development. Now, the extrovert part, sometimes reining that back in. I know you really wanted to ride in on that dragon and storm that castle. I know you really want to do that. But before you go on and do that thing, we're going to just see what everybody else is doing. I know that that's hard for a lot of performers, especially when you kind of get on a roll. But from a GM's perspective, I think that it's important to make sure that nobody hogs the spotlight forever. You don't, you know, it's fine if you want to go off for a while. I can entertain that if you want to do this for a long period, but not forever.
Well, that's where you kind of go, well, this person is doing that.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, this is going on.
Mm-hmm.
What are you guys doing?
Right. Because maybe they're going off on their own. This is also the thing. It's like, okay, so we're riding in on the dragon, drinking some beer, berserking the tower, all of that good stuff. Are all of you going to do that with him, or are we doing something else?
And that's another way you can ask as well.
Yeah, because if you guys just want to go with it, all right, that's fine. Anything you want to contribute at this point, go ahead. We'll roll with it. But if we're doing something different, I'd like to know now, and just like to know who is, and I've played with different GMs that do this, is everybody going there? When somebody says, this is the next place I want to go, and it's like, okay, is everybody going there with them? Or are we going somewhere else? Anybody else doing something different, going someplace else? Very important to note, also very helpful for storytelling, because then you know where everybody is when we start new scenes.
Very good to know.
Yeah, you kind of want to, because you don't want that surprise where all of a sudden, like, you're like, oh, we're starting combat, only to realize, oh, 2 of my characters didn't join.
Oh, they're at the library? When did that happen?
Oops. Really would have... Oh, gee, I really should have known. Or I didn't think you guys were coming. Oh, no, we were carrying the beer for the beer zerker.
I didn't know you split the party.
We didn't know. Oops. We did a split the party. Uh-oh. Can't have that. So from a GM's perspective, I think that's helpful, just to try and keep your extroverts and your introverts both engaged without overwhelming anybody or sidelining anyone. But player perspective. Okay, let's say that you are a bit reclusive.
Sure. Like a spider.
We're hermits in real life.
Like a snail.
Yeah. And in fact, we took the hermit background when we made our character. We even did that. Yeah, absolutely. Tips. Ideas on how you can be more actively engaged in your role playing. Things that you might ask the GM. Thoughts on like how you can kind of like be more engaged if you want to be, or better yet, if you really aren't that kind of a player, how you keep from being in the spotlight at any time.
I mean, you can always act instead of speak as well.
Sure.
You don't necessarily have to be talking the entire time. You can be like, my character, or I want to do this thing. Sure. And do this action as well. You don't have to just be like, oh, I'm gonna have a speech now. You can act.
Right.
You can do a thing instead. If this was a crit think section of the show, we could always pass that question along to our lovely Discord friends. Family. I was gonna say family, and I was like, wait, no, they're friends. Are they a family? Is it a Discord family?
Right.
But, you know, there's a lot of different ways, and I know some of the people in our Discord have some great thoughts on that as well.
Sure.
Or maybe some people that aren't listening, that aren't in the Discord, would like to jump in on that as well. I'd like to see what other people have to say that aren't us on that point.
Sure.
Because I think some of them have a lot better ideas than you or I might have.
Yeah. No, it's true. I would say the piece of advice that I might have given for that is you could tailor your character to actually be kind of quiet. If you wanted to build your character at the very beginning, knowing that you did not want to necessarily say too much, you could just say, like, well, maybe he doesn't speak. Or, like...
He's mute.
He's mute. Or a person of very few words. We could say it that way.
Sure, but then you still need to do things as well. You can't just be like, I want to sit in the back the entire time and kind of just be dragged along.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, those characters don't really work very well in a role-playing game, I'm sorry to tell you. You can be that if you want, but it's not. I don't think you especially are going to enjoy that if that's the character you're playing. You're going to be watching everybody else do an adventure, and you're going to be like a voyeuristically watching the whole thing happen, unfold in front, and I'll be like, oh yeah, no, totally, I'll pull up my sword. Glad I could contribute, and then go back.
Playing that lone wolf who follows everyone.
Yeah. And then for extroverts, the piece of advice I usually give to people if you're extroverted and you're in a role-playing experience is understand that the spotlight can't not always be on you, and you occasionally have to pass that on. So something that I am very fond of doing is there's a lot of times where the crew is going to be talking about what they might want to do next. Those are usually times where I try not to jump in too much, because I don't want to then make a cacophony of sound. There are times where I realize that my character has a spotlight on them, and therefore I am going to be doing some cool stuff. I'm going to be making some shit happen. But after that, though, there is a period where I'm realizing, well, my character's really not going to be involved with this next interaction, and this is stuff other characters are going to be doing. So this is a good time for me to just step back and let that happen, because everybody else deserves a chance to be involved in this. It can't just be it can't just be the Nathan show, you know?
No. It can be the Nathan show when you are running the game.
Exactly. But even then, I don't really want it to be the Nathan show, because then it's not a game. It's just a person on a power fantasy, right? And we don't really need that. It's tricky. I've played with a lot of people. Some of them are very, very shy, and some of them can be very much performers. And I think people kind of get the hang of it after they've played a few times, but if you're really new to it, it can be kind of daunting to know, like, what exactly am I supposed to do? What is the expectations here for me in a role-playing setting like this? Because everybody can kind of get down the mechanics of a role-playing system at some point, but the actual storytelling aspect is more esoteric. It's a little bit less tangible in those ways, not locked down, and so those are hard to kind of like explain to people when you have a lot of different personalities at the table, which is required for role-playing games. So, but do you tend to? My question to you at the end, though, is do you find yourself being more of the extroverted character when you're playing, or more of an introverted character?
That's tough, as I haven't really played a game in several years, and the last one I did was me and one other player, so we both kind of bounced off each other really well.
Got it.
And most of the time, we were doing scenes together.
Oh, sure.
So I think it really depends on my party.
Sure.
I don't think I'm super extroverted, though, when it comes to that type of thing. I don't think I'm gung-ho, like, as far as you would be. When you're like, all right, you need to reel it back a little bit.
Yeah.
Because you are very, very boisterous at times with that.
My characters are a lot.
Yeah, your characters are a lot. I don't think I'm quite that forward with my characters, as though...
No.
My last character was a lot more of a quiet type of character. More so that Phaestus was more of he was druid, so he didn't know his way around social situations at all very well, and he was getting all his social cues from the half-orc he was with. So he was very not normal either for that. And so it was more he was a socially awkward character.
Yeah.
But in that he didn't quite understand.
Yeah.
So that was less of him being so forward, but more of him being not sure of how things worked, which was fun.
Yeah. Okay.
So that was fun to do that, because it wasn't so much I'm going to be at the forefront of these social situations and these things going on. It was more of he's going to be unsure and aloof to some of these situations and kind of just like, wait, this is how things work? Very curious about things. So.
Yeah. No, Snowball, Rembrandt, Dr. McFly, they're a lot.
Yes.
they're a lot to take in, I'm not gonna lie. But see, that's the thing, is that I don't necessarily want to derail the story, but I definitely come in planning on injecting a certain energy into that is probably not going to be as serious or as focused as a lot of the players would be. Just the way I play. One day, I did have a thought, though, Alex. Tell me if you like this idea. Is that I did have a thought one time, just to do something completely different, but I thought it was hilarious. I wanted to play just like an average, in every single way, human fighter whose name was Jean Narek. No personality, monotone, just talks like this the whole time. People ask...
Hello, Governor.
Yep, right down here.
Like this the whole time?
Yep. And then, my occupation is I hit things with a sword. Yep, that's all I do. and I kind of like the idea of being completely opposite, but I also thought that's kind of hilarious.
A little.
For me.
But then you just dump everything into strength and just hit things like a truck.
Oh, yeah. But see, also...
He does one thing, but he does it really well.
Yeah, but I kind of... His personality, though, is that he's also... In many ways, because of the fact that he's so generic as a character, he's also a little bit oblivious to the world around him. So, I always thought that it would be one of those things where if they said, yeah, roll for initiative, I'd have to be like, okay, I'm gonna roll for initiative, but I'm probably gonna, if you'll let me, I'm rolling it with disadvantage, because Jean's just staring at the brickwork right now. He's really not paying attention. He's not actively engaged right now. I will gladly take disadvantage on my initiative roll.
I feel like there should be a trait for aloof.
There should be an aloof trait. Hey, let's make it happen. Come on, Wizards, you're trying to build like a new D&D system. Aloof should be in there somewhere.
I feel like there's some ways you could get negatives to initiative.
Oh, I'm sure. Oh, I'm sure.
His wisdom is negative.
Oh yeah, wisdom is negative. Yeah, they got to do more with the negative traits and stuff.
Well, I mean, different conversation, but not a lot of people necessarily like taking negatives on their characters.
It's true. I've seen some systems too where they'll do that, but it's so that they can get advantages in other realms.
Yeah.
Where it's like, yeah, you could take a lot of negatives so that you're really bad at a lot of stuff, except that there's this one thing that is so OP you can do now that it's absolutely insane.
Had some systems like that.
Yeah.
But that's a discussion for a different day.
That is a very different delving deeper. But for this one, I think we've pretty much wrapped that up. And hopefully the conversation will continue over on our Discord channel. So we're waiting to hear from you.
Patiently.
Yeah. All right, so one more thing we got to take care of, Alex. One more. So back when we did the other show, if you might remember, Delvecast, we had email and comments and stuff that were, set up, and what we received a lot of was spam. And, the thing about it is that you'd go through a lot of that spam comments, and, a lot of them are pretty much what you would imagine. Make stuff longer and larger and faster and stronger. And
plants.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of eggplants involved. And, but sometimes you would get these really weird, in-depth things that had nothing to do with the episodes. And one of the weirdest things that we found on our email was this all of these things that were directed toward a Clara. We don't know who Clara is. Never met a Clara. Never had a Clara on the show that I'm aware of. I don't believe we ever did. I don't think I've ever talked to anybody named Clara in my life.
Nope.
Odd. Just very odd. But literally just emails addressed to Clara. And so, trying to piece together who this person is based on the spam that we got for Clara is fascinating. It's amazing. Started like back in January, if I'm looking at this correctly. I think that January was when we started receiving this. Information about a Christian education program, followed by information about Liberty Mutual, a bunch of stuff about insurance, some Walgreens surveys about pest solutions. Clara lives a fascinating life.
An interestingly pesticidal life.
A pesticidal life. She's apparently very religious. She needs insurance, maybe because of the pests that she has to get rid of. And there are some really lucrative, sweet marketing surveys that she can be part of. It's odd. It wasn't directed at Delve. It wasn't directed at either you or me. None of the names that would be attached to the email at all. And now this person seems to have kind of convalesced out of thin air. And I'm so confused. But I need to know more about this Clara. I think what we're trying to say is, we need to find you, Clara. I don't know where you are. I need to understand how we got here. But let me explain, though. This is just like January, February. There's so much more. Okay? There's so much more. Here's something about growth that does have an eggplant after it. Maybe it's about cooking. I don't know. Clara likes to cook.
About cooking.
It's about cooking. You can use eggplants for cooking.
Sure.
You can use them to make vegetarian omelets, right?
Yeah.
You replace the eggs with the eggplants.
No.
That's gonna work, right?
No.
No? That's not how they do it.
Anyway.
The eggplants don't substitute for eggs?
No, they do not.
Everything I thought I knew about cooking was a lie. There's more. You can recover your accounts on here. There's free gifts available to her. We've got stuff in here from Lending Tree. Again, apparently she needs a loan. Maybe because of that pest thing. I don't know.
Maybe she's buying too many eggplants.
You know what? Eggplants are expensive. You know, that's why I tried to grow my own.
Yeah.
Also, there's, let's see, unemployment surveys. I'm thinking that maybe that's why she was looking into the insurance, that she was, she had to go unemployment.
Maybe.
And so needs to look at some other, options for that. Yeah, just an odd thing. Stuff about healthcare plans. A lot of stuff about healthcare plans. A lot of stuff about surveys, research, and yeah, surprisingly though, after that one thing about the Christian education program, nothing more. I think she lost her religion.
Yeah.
After January.
Just signed up for a lot of smut.
Yeah, the eggplants showed up, and all of a sudden they're like, we want nothing to do with this at all. At all. Oh, exposed to Roundup. Again, with the pest control stuff. Apparently got the pest control. And then is looking at a class action lawsuit because of the exposure to the pest control that she had in the first place. There's a storyline here that you could base an entire character in a role-playing game just off of the spam comments. Oh, Alex!
Oh dear.
We should do an exercise where we build a character, an RPG character, just based off of spam that we receive. It'll be like when they did the playing Pokemon, but like on Twitch, the Twitch chat.
Twitch plays Pokemon.
Yeah.
Spam builds characters.
Spam builds characters. This is a great new initiative. Our first character is just named Clara, no last name, and and we just use spam. Keywords. Try to find keywords in there that we can use to build your character.
Well, I've been looking at the spam comments on the Delvecast website that we have, and currently the newest ones are, let me go back really quick. Has anybody ever shopped at Maria's Vapor Emporium Vapor Store located at 1115 West Algonquin Road? Has anybody ever shopped at N3 Vapor Vape Shop in 3505 Summerhill Road, Site 11? Sorry, Suite 11.
There's so many. Isn't there like...
Has anyone shopped at Smokin' Legal's e-cigarette shop located at 100 West Highway 332 Suite 1428? There's a lot about vaping going on here
and
from
CBD
the last
oil.
several hours.
Yeah.
And CBD oil. So Clara vapes.
Apparently, she's definitely somewhere in that vein. Also, fascinating thing about those comments is that I will see comments on there talking about how they loved reading the blog.
Yes.
And if we have any tips for them on how to make blogs and get viewership,
this one is
not. But
for Titanium Mine, Viking Wolves of Midgard, I like what you guys are up also. Such intelligent work in reporting. Carry on the excellent work, guys. I have incorporated you guys to my blog role. I think it will improve the value of my website.
I'm glad it improved somebody's value to their website.
This one's actually relative. Where to buy CBD cigarettes? Saga's Mass. Yep, absolutely. This one is, hi, I found your site by mistake when I was searching Google for this issue. It's on Delve 158 Vote Plaid, by the way.
Very nice.
I have to say, your site is really helpful. I also love the theme. It's amazing. I don't have that much time to read all your posts at the moment, but I have bookmarked it, and I'll also add your RSS feeds. I will be back in a day or two. Thanks for a great site.
Yeah.
Thank you, Replica Watches.
Thanks for all of that. Yeah, the funny thing about it is that, like, I'm looking like 15 days back, there are 466 spam comments just on the website alone. That's not even including our actual email, where Clara apparently lives. I just, what is this? Oh, yeah. Actually, surprisingly enough, they were right about that. That is actually a blog. It's the Dr. Ferris McFly's Fantastic Beasts and How to Avoid Them. The one thing that they actually did make a note of it. But yeah, no, a lot of attempting to plays that were just superb blog. And do I have any tips and hints for aspiring writers? Planning to start my own site soon, but I'm a little lost on everything.
It's funny that they say the site is fantastic when it's the Delvecast website, which honestly looks like garbage.
Yeah.
It's a WordPress website, but
yeah.
But our TPK website looks
significantly better. Yeah.
So much better.
I do like the fact that this is on the WordPress, and it asks, would you suggest starting with a free platform like WordPress or going for a paid option? Thanks. Well, we're obviously on the WordPress on this one, so very overwhelmed with ideas. Now, see, another one that was also for the Ferris McFly's blog, where I was actually keeping track of what my character was doing in that game. This one from Hairstyles. Thanks, Hairstyles. Thanks for revealing your ideas. I'd also like to express that video games have been ever evolving. The one thing where we weren't talking about games, they decided to talk about video games. Technology advances and improvements have aided create genuine and interactive games. These types of entertainment games are not actually sensible when the concept was first being used. Just like other kinds of electronics, video games too have had to grow via many decades. This itself is testimony for the fast growth of video games. Why is this so introspective for a spam comment? I don't know. I kind of feel like a lot of these were sent with the idea that it would be more likely that they would pass by a spam filter if they sounded like actual comments.
Yeah.
But
I don't know.
Yeah. The funny thing is that back in the day, when I would do the Tales from the Spam Folder series that I was doing, there was stuff on there where they were talking. There were entire blocks of people talking about high fashion, cooking, shopping guide stuff, toys that you can buy your kids for Christmas. Just full things. There was a comment I saw once that was literally just, hi, it's good to hear from you. Jackie is fine. She and Lee are coming up to visit this weekend. This whole long thing about several characters I had never heard of. None of them were Clara, but Clara could have been involved at some point, and I feel really, I feel like I know these people after this one spam comment. This is not the kind of spam you assume that you're going to get. You assume that it's mostly going to be the eggplants.
You know what we should do sometime is do a dramatic reading of some of these long-winded spam comments.
Oh yeah. We'll do a spam advice column, and so every time they're asking questions of us, we'll actually answer them like we're trying to take it seriously.
Perfect. Yeah, take
that.
it seriously.
We'll take it seriously.
The ASMR spam readings.
The ASMR spam readings, yeah. Oh my god. This is just Delve special, every game I played from 2020 from best to worst. Can someone recommend blazer dresses? Cheers, XOX.
What are blazer dresses?
I don't know. I have no idea. Clara probably does. Why isn't she here to explain it to us? And then right below it, is anyone here in a position to recommend blouses?
No.
No!
No, we are not.
No, we are not. Many individuals were enthusiastic sportsmen or enjoyed music and dance. What is again, you go down a rabbit hole with this, and you will never get out of it. It's just the strangest stuff every single time. Yeah. Anyway, Clara, is this you? I don't know. Are you asking about the dress? I don't know anymore. What's with the eggplants? I don't know.
This one's a really long one I can't read because it's not in English, it's in Cyrillic.
Oh. I mean, I might be able to read it, but I might not be able to tell you what it means.
No, I cannot.
No, I mean, I know Cyrillic, but I can't necessarily tell you what the words will translate to in English.
No idea.
I could just phonetically spell it to you.
No, I'm good.
Can someone recommend underwire swimsuits?
Nope. I definitely can't recommend those.
Oh my god. Is anyone here in a position to recommend baby dolls and chemises? Is anyone here in a position to recommend edible treats? Plus size corsets, baskets. It goes on and on. This is just odd. Can anyone recommend Leg Avenue?
I like this one. It's from Buy NFT Tokens. It's on Delve 161, not another Bulbasaur.
Yep.
And it's merely a smiling visitant here to share the love. By the way, outstanding style.
Robbie wants to know, can someone recommend orange dresses?
Oh, more Cyrillic.
Perfect.
More Cyrillic.
Perfect. It's yeah, there's a lot. There's so many asking us if we can recommend stuff.
Oh, this one's great. I'm wordless when I have to comment on your blog. Your writing and thought is beyond any word of praise. That's a lot of words for someone who's wordless.
Yeah, they found a lot of words, even though they were wordless. It's yeah, the midsection here is literally just us asking if we can recommend.
You know what we need to do?
Stuff. Yeah,
is we gotta get all these reviews of good posts. I absolutely love this website. Keep writing to all the
we're gonna
posts
screenshot
like this.
them.
No, we gotta get like a testimonial of all the people who say they love our website that are all spam comments.
The spam testimonial. Yeah,
the spam. 200 people agree they love this website. Here you go. And it'll just be a list of all the spam comments.
Okay. These two, I'm gonna give you these two just because they're the weirdest things ever. This from Master Blogger Kadiri. Thanks, Master Blogger Kadiri. From Plane Crafters, episode 174. When summer comes, our summer activity ranges from kayaking to mountain climbing and also hiking too.
Okay.
Yep, from Plane Crafters. And then from Hairstyles, Digressions and Delving. That was when Fiddleback was on the show. Wow, that was strange. I just wrote a very long comment, but after I clicked submit, my comment didn't appear. Grr. Well, I'm not writing all that over again. Anyway, just wanted to say superb blog.
That one almost seems like it could be a real comment.
Exactly. Oh, and also from Plane Crafters, this is also important. Thumbs up if you're watching this from the future because you're a time traveler.
Does it say that?
Yep.
Thumbs up if you're watching this from the future.
It's like page 14 in case you want to see it.
Oh god, I have to look. Page
14, and this is where we get into some.
Wow, there's a lot of really long ones about overseeing a vape shop.
Yeah. Fashion Styles writes from Articles of the Sky. I've been absent for a while, but now I remember why I used to love this blog. Thanks.
Hey, can someone recommend body stockings?
Yeah.
Cheers.
Trust me, there is a long list of those. We're
gonna have to get a clothing blog.
We're gonna have to get a clothing blog together. Not another Bulbasaur. You created some decent points here. I looked online with the problem and discovered most people is going in conjunction with all your site. Thanks. This is the best one. We gotta save this for testimonials. Wonderful points all together. You simply gained a brand new reader. What would you recommend about your post that you made a few days ago? Any positive? I don't even remember what the post was.
All right then.
Similarly, Vampire the Masquerade with Jason Carl. Thanks again to Jason Carl for coming on the show. It appears like your website ate my first comment. It was super long. No shit. So I guess I'll just sum it up and write what I wrote and say, I'm thoroughly enjoying your blog. Not a blog. Again, it's not a blog. I too am an aspiring blog writer. It's not a written piece. And I'm still new to the whole thing. Do you have any points for inexperienced blog writers? Yeah. Don't read the spam comments. You'll go down a hole and you can't get out. What I'll do is I'll screenshot a few of these so that you can see them.
Wow, this one says web-site.
Web-site?
Yeah. instead of website when it was, 2 words. As a website processor, I believe the content matter here is rattling magnificent. Appreciate it for your hard work. You should keep it up forever. Good luck.
Yeah. Well, I got bad news for you.
No.
We're not going to keep it up forever. But yeah, I will oh my god.
This one is
Yeah,
just, can someone recommend G-spot vibrators? Cheers, XOX.
Yep, that happens a lot. Yeah. No. I can't. Yeah, you picked out that one, but yeah, there's a whole bunch right here that are just like this. It's the reason I had originally done that whole series about the Tales from Spam folder is like this is free content for for me. This is like an endless line of great content, and it feels like the kind of thing you could do a whole segment on, which is just spam question of the day. Because I feel like you could probably answer some of these realistically, but not very well.
I don't think I want to for the ones I'm reading right now.
No, you probably don't. I'm just fascinated by these.
Ooh, this one's actually topical. Can someone recommend Halloween costumes?
Oh, perfect. Yes.
No, I cannot.
Sean from Shaun
What?
of the Dead. It's an easy one.
This one's actually asking about bunny girl costumes, but it's from someone named Drew.
Oh.
I'm not sure if Drew is male or female, so I'm not really sure
I don't know.
why they're looking for bunny girl costumes.
You know what? There's convention somewhere, I'm sure. Bunny convention?
We don't talk about those.
We don't talk about bunny conventions. No. Yeah, there are several that are just re-skins of the vape shops. So there's that. I'm really glad
this one.
Oh yeah.
From Clinton Dashiell.
Okay.
Is I used to be able to find good advice from your blog articles.
Yep.
Yeah, well then we started reading the spam comments.
Yeah. Fashion Styles has said that you're really a good webmaster. The website loading speed is incredible. It seems you are doing any unique trick. Furthermore, contents are masterful. You have done a fantastic job.
Man.
Yeah. Hairstyles, who, again, keeps popping up even though they say they've been away for a while.
Yeah, well they haven't been away that long.
Yeah, nowadays bloggers publish only about gossips and web, and this is actually irritating. A good website with exciting content, this is what I need. Thank you for keeping this site. I will be visiting it. Do you do newsletters? Can't find it.
No. We don't do newsletters. That's why you can't find it.
I also love that they actually sent a comment and say that they will be visiting the site.
No thanks. Go away.
Thanks for visiting the site that you've already gone to. Yeah. So anyway, the endless amount of spam comments that we've gotten, including, of course, our wonderful Clara, has really made us start to think what we've done with our lives.
Not much.
Not much. No. Spam comments vastly outweighing actual comments, but you know. And
listen,
hundreds.
Us here at TPK like quantity over quality.
That's true. That's true.
Give us more spam comments. Except none of the stuff on TPK has comments enabled, so you know.
This is probably the reason.
Yes.
Hairstyles again, who's been absent for a while, but this is from Games Matter back in Delve 80. Hi, someone in my MySpace group shared this website with us.
They did.
So I came to take a look. You've looked many times, Hairstyles. I'm definitely enjoying the information. I'm bookmarking and will be tweeting this to my followers Superb blog and wonderful design and style. They did not apparently look at the Delvecast website.
But now I'm wondering what their MySpace group is.
I know. And who's in your top 5 spaces?
I feel like we should make a MySpace page for the TPK.
Can we still get MySpace? If we can still get MySpace,
it's a music website.
We gotta make a MySpace page.
I don't feel like I want to do that.
Let's do it. Let's have a great 90s aesthetic for it. Can we make it on Can we have a GeoCities page?
No, GeoCities is terrible.
Oh my god, it would be amazing. Also, GeoCities isn't around anymore. Yeah.
Listen, I spent months working on this website.
Yeah.
We're not making a GeoCities.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
We have a website and it looks nice and clean and professional. Fuck that noise.
But I mean, let's face it, that if you did have a GeoCities page or a MySpace page or something, not a lot of competition. Because no one else is
no
there.
competition.
Yeah. I mean, hell, Tom isn't even on MySpace anymore, I don't think.
No, he sold it for millions.
Yeah, good for Tom. Good for Tom. Maybe Clara knows Tom. I don't know. Clara, you have a MySpace page? I don't know. People saying they really love the theme design of the website. You don't. This was the old one. Yep. So, yeah, if you happen to be a small creator and you happen to go into your spam folder at some point, you might find that a few of these things are just way less spammy looking than they normally were. But I have to tell you, in that vein, that I did do a little bit of a deep dive in one of those episodes that I put together, where I found out that even though these two comments look very different, they've really just changed a few key words around from one to another, and I did an analysis from the one to the other, and if you look at them side by side, you're going, oh, it's the same thing from two different people.
Wow.
But they just changed some of the words around so that
bots are crazy.
Bots are crazy, man. Bots are crazy. The bots must be crazy. That's the episode title. The bots must be crazy.
Yeah, at the end of the show, you get the title.
You get the title. That's how we keep you listening.
Yeah.
Anywho, okay, enough silliness. Until the next episode, at least.
Oh, hooray, we're at the end of the show.
Finally, it's only taken us all day.
All day.
Alright, so I think we've finally gotten ourselves out of the spam folder hole.
Just go right back in.
Yeah, no, we're not going down the bunny suit hole instead of a rabbit hole. That's why you need the bunny suit. Yeah, we figured it out finally. Anyway, went down that rabbit hole, came back out, do not feel better about ourselves, but if you people would like to find out more information about Total Pebble Knockdown, where could they go and leave blog comments?
You cannot go and leave blog comments at totalpebbleknockdown.com because they're disabled.
That's right. Mostly for this very reason. Now we've explained it.
Very reason.
Yeah, exactly. No eggplant emojis there. Anyway, you can find us there, and you can check out our Patreon. We do some longer and extended and extra stuff over there. And
you get all the outtakes that this video has,
which is extensive. I'm sure you can probably imagine.
Extensive.
There's quite a bit. It's good stuff. Assuming I can get it together in time. Yes. And of course, on the website, you can find more than just even I wanted to say Delvecast because we've been going back to the website for a while. You can find more than just the Total Pebble Knockdown episodes. There's also Titanium Mines, and you can see where our live feeds are that we are going to be doing more frequently, usually the first Saturday of the month. And we come on and we tool around with a game, and we talk to the folks over in our Discord channel if you want to join us over on YouTube.
We've also got merch, Titanium Mine. We've got a page of all other places you can find us with links to our Discord, YouTube, Anchor page, and Patreon there as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
From the Anchor page, you can also find any place you want to listen to the podcast, because it's all linked on the Anchor page, which is really nice to have it all in one spot.
Something else that I've been tooling around with, I've been trying for different episodes, is on Anchor, they offer the ability to like ask questions and also to occasionally do polls. And so I will occasionally throw that up with a related poll and something like that. So it's worth checking out if you want to check on some of that stuff. I think the last one that I had run was just about like which of these games that we were discussing would make the best game for like a Halloween live stream, and I threw some options out there. I think Fallout 76 was probably the one that I figured would win. I don't know how it's done so far, because I think it's still going on when we record this. But yeah, feel free to go over there. A few little extras on there. I like to try and take advantage of the stuff when it's available. And you can also find us on Twitter. I am at Citanium.
I am at EXP Limited, and the show is at Pebble Knockdown.
Yep, and so you can check us out over there. You can find us on our Discord channel. There's a lot of ways that you can contact us, and if you do have a question for us, please let us know in one of those ways, because then we might address it on the show. And maybe. We make no promises, but we might. But we might not. We might. Anyway, thank you for joining us on this episode of Total Pebble Knockdown. And this is me signing out by saying, Clara, hope you're doing okay. We haven't heard from you for a while. Or ever.
Thank God.
Thank Eggplant.
Thank the eggplant emoji lords. The lords of eggplant.
Goodbye, Clara.
Bye.